Well, I'm joined by Yuka Roya from our business desk here in the studio. Hi there, Yuka. We heard President Emmanuel Macron speaking a little earlier, talking about a new deal for Africa. What mechanisms are there to help struggling nations?
Well, he highlighted two things. One is debt restructuring and debt relief. Obviously, a lot of many low-income economies are struggling because they're heavily indebted, because they're also heavily indebted. It's providing relief to that colossal debt and help them deal with the massive debt is important so that they could focus more on spending public funds, injecting money into where money is most needed right now, which is obviously dealing with the public health crisis. Also, as we heard from Stephen, and President Macron also mentioned about reallocating the International Monetary Fund's special drawing rights. Now, what are these mechanisms then? Claire Rush takes a look at these mechanisms.
Two mechanisms could help African economies recover from the coronavirus pandemic. Firstly, debt relief. This can include the temporary freezing of payments or suspending debt altogether if certain conditions are met. A second mechanism available for low-income countries during financial crises are special drawing rights, or SDRs, an international reserve asset created by the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, in 1969. The fund issues SDRs to its member countries' central banks as an asset they can easily exchange for hard currency with another central bank. The value of an SDR is set daily based on a basket of 5 major international currencies: the US dollar, the euro, the Chinese yuan, the Japanese yen, and the British pound. Last month, world finance chiefs agreed to increase these reserves by $650 billion, a move hailed by some IMF members.
As it did during the 2009 financial crisis, I welcome the IMF's current efforts to make additional SDRs available to member countries. This will allow our countries to have the fiscal capacity to respond to the urgent needs of our populations.
World leaders are hoping these initiatives will enable African economies to invest more public spending in fighting the health crisis, including speeding up vaccination drives, a move that will help economic recovery in the long run.
Well, turning from sub-Saharan Africa to North Africa now, and Tunisia's economy minister has said he expects ongoing negotiations with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, to conclude within 3 months, according to state news agency TAP. Tunisia has been in deep economic crisis since the 2011 revolution and is seeking €4 billion in loans from the IMF. The fund has been urging the government to push through reforms over state-owned companies and subsidies. The head of Tunisia's central bank and the finance minister travelled to Washington earlier this month to start negotiating with the IMF. And as we heard at that summit from the leaders, speeding up vaccinations is key to post-pandemic recovery. In Egypt, the government is positioning tourism as a vital sector for its economy and is aiming to fully vaccinate people working in hotels, shops and restaurants in South Sinai and the Red Sea resort areas by the end of this month, followed by other tourist spots such as Luxor and Cairo. This as only about 1% of the country's total population has so far been vaccinated.
خلال شهر مايو الحالي هعلن أنا وزميلتي معالي وزيرة الصحة انتهاء تطعيم العمالة المصرية العاملة في فنادق ومنتجعات وشركات ومطاعم جنوب سيناء والبحر الأحمر بالكامل.
And let's take a quick check on the markets to wrap up. A fairly quiet day on Wall Street today, with stocks moving between small gains and losses. As you can see, a mixed picture there just a while ago. Shares of retail giant Walmart rose more than 2% after it reported better than expected financial results for the first quarter of this year, thanks to strong growth in online shopping. European markets ended the day on a mixed note as well, with Paris and Frankfurt dropping below the flat line despite optimism over post-pandemic reopening. Telecoms giant Bouygues fell almost 1.5% after it said it would spend €641 million to consolidate a planned merger between its TF1 television channel with smaller rival M6. And that's it from me for now.
Thank you very much indeed. Yuka Roya from the Business Desk. Thank you for that summary of all the goings on in the world of business.